Hey everyone, welcome to NoDQ video here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift_NoDQ. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you click on that subscribe button and turn on your notifications. It is going to be a very busy week coming up here on the NoDQ YouTube channel. NXT predictions, NoDQ live reviewing Raw 25, more NoDQ live, NoDQ review, maybe talk wrestling, wrestling trivia challenge, and predictions for the Royal Rumble, review video of NXT, review video of the Royal Rumble. You get what I'm saying. A lot of content coming up this week. And stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest breaking news and rumors. Now, with that being said, let's get started with your questions today. First one comes from Chris. Hey Aaron, now that EC3 is fired, oops, spoiler, and Bobby Lashley possibly wrestled his last match in TNA, does this increase the chances of one or both of them being surprise entrants in the Royal Rumble? Congrats on 20 years. I think of the two of them, it's more likely we'll see EC3 because Bobby Lashley's Impact Wrestling deal reportedly does not expire until February 1st. Now, there's always a chance, as Lloyd Christmas might say, that Lashley could be released early by Impact Wrestling and they will give him the okay to appear at the Royal Rumble. I think EC3 is more likely to show up at the Royal Rumble. But I'm not going to get my hopes up. Yes, we did see AJ Styles show up at the Royal Rumble after it was revealed that he was joining WWE. And the rumors are very strong right now about EC3 coming to WWE. It feels like it's pretty much a done deal. He even canceled an indie show he was doing the day of the Royal Rumble. We might see him. I think there's a reasonable chance we'll see him. But I'm still not going to get my hopes up. It's one of those scenarios where I'll believe it when I see it. But I feel there's a fairly decent chance of at least EC3 showing up at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Got this one here from B. Hill. So how long until we see EC3 debut in NXT? Is Laurel Van Ness a guarantee because of her relationship with Zack Ryder? I think EC3 could possibly show up on the main roster. Keep in mind, EC3 was already in NXT as Derek Bateman. He's already been in WWE's developmental league. Because of that, I feel like he could just show up on the main roster. We've seen a few guys do it. AJ Styles did. Mike Bennett did. And I think part of that was due to Maria Kanellis already having the experience on the main roster, and she could coach Mike Bennett along. I think with EC3, he already knows the WWE style, so I don't really see the need for him to go to NXT. I think he already knows what to do on the main roster, and I think he'll do just fine. So I could see EC3 maybe bypassing NXT. It could go either way, but it would not shock me if he just debuts at the Royal Rumble and is on the main roster right away. As far as Laurel Van Ness goes, I would imagine that she'll probably go through NXT. I believe she made like one appearance in WWE, but I feel like she would do better in NXT. I could see her showing up in WWE for sure. Not for sure, but I think the odds are fairly strong that we will see her in NXT. And will she team up with Zack Ryder? That remains to be seen. You could always pair them together. Maybe have them be a male and female group in the company if WWE decides to go further with the mixed match challenge and turn that into something, maybe even a division. So there are some possibilities. I don't think her dating Zack Ryder is going to result in her being hired. I think she'll be hired because there's potential with her and the company thinks they can make money with her and she's a talented performer. I think those are better reasons. I don't think dating Zack Ryder really has anything to do with WWE hiring her or not. Just my take on it, though. Of course, it always does benefit when you know somebody. I mean, that's a given, but I don't think that's the biggest factor in her possibly being signed to WWE. This one comes from Justin Hoover. With EC3 recently leaving TNA and rumors of him coming into WWE, could you see them bringing in Dixie Carter to be EC3's manager? I feel like she could get Vicky Guerrero-style heat. The funny thing is, if Dixie Carter showed up on Raw, how many people would actually recognize her? The funny thing is, I don't know if the casual WWE fan would even know who she is. Yeah, she would probably get some heat with the more diehard fans that are familiar with her in TNA. But then again, I think those kind of fans might actually cheer her if she showed up. As weird as that sounds, despite her not being popular with the internet and being popular with the diehard fans, I still think they would pop for her if she showed up on WWE television. That is what makes wrestling so weird and fans so interesting, how they could despise somebody and then if that person returned or showed up as a surprise, they would get excited. Like Vince Russo. If Vince Russo showed up on Raw, the people that despise him, I sense most of them would be marking out for Vince Russo. It's a really weird business. Really weird fan base too. This one comes from Future Shocker. Do you think Raw 25 will be the biggest Raw in recent memory, and are you excited for it? I think it will definitely be one of the biggest Raws in a very long time, just because of all the stars from the present and past coming together, and the Manhattan Center is going to be something really special. Yeah, it's definitely one of the bigger Raws of the past decade, maybe ever. This could potentially be one of the biggest Raws of all time. I'm looking forward to it very much. Maybe more. Actually, I will say I'm looking forward to it more than the Royal Rumble and more than NXT, quite frankly. Of the three shows, I'm most excited about Raw 25. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment on NoDQ.com or on the YouTube channel. And yes, you can leave comments on NoDQ.com. Every single post on NoDQ, there's a discuss comments section at the bottom. I sometimes will respond to comments, so feel free to leave a question or comment. And let me know what you think. Which of the three shows are you most excited about? Alright, this next one comes from Garrett Mills. With Paige's career likely over, do you consider her a Hall of Famer? By the way, you should be using hashtag NoDQTurns20. I almost missed your question. Luckily, I was able to stumble upon it going through my mentions. But in the future, guys, please use the hashtag NoDQTurns2020. That way, I can easily find all the questions to answer on video. Anyways, to answer your question about Paige and if she's a Hall of Famer, I hate to do this because it's so lame, but I go back to the Coco Beware answer. If Coco can go in, anybody can go in. Now, let's get a little bit more serious about this. Paige and her accomplishments. I would say, looking at Paige's history and what she did in a short period of time, I think both her and AJ Lee should go into the WWE Hall of Fame at some point. Paige could possibly be first if her career is ending, but maybe there's still things for her to do without her getting physically involved in the ring. She can manage, she can do commentary, she can train. Her career could be lengthy in terms of doing other things besides merely wrestling. So I would wait. I would wait on it and see what else she does in the business. And just based on her career now, I would say, yeah, I would say she is Hall of Fame worthy, but I feel like it's too soon to induct her. Let's see what else she does over the years and see where things go from there. This one comes from DJ Whitey. Ayo, Aaron, if WWE will not clear Daniel Bryan because of risk of another injury being a factor, why won't they just make him sign a waiver for one more match saying if anything bad happens, WWE is not responsible? The problem with that is WWE is taking their wellness policy very seriously and the credibility of their doctor. They don't want to go back on what the doctor says unless there's some sort of evidence that Bryan can get back in the ring and the doctor feels very confident that Bryan is good to go. Unless that happens, WWE's not going to take any chances, and it's not about Daniel Bryan potentially suing WWE. That's not the issue. The issue is WWE wanting to maintain the credibility of their wellness policy and not get that bad publicity. If something happened to Daniel Bryan, WWE's worried about a media firestorm with the company looking very bad and people saying the company was irresponsible for allowing Bryan to wrestle even if Bryan was willing to sign something. So that's the situation. I don't think WWE will do that. They don't want to jeopardize the reputation that the company has and ruin the integrity of their wellness policy. This next one comes from Sean T. Flick. What do you think of Sonya Deville being the one to eventually beat Asuka? I see money in her. Way too soon, in my opinion, to even be discussing that idea. I think she would need considerable time in WWE to develop her character before you even think about that as a possibility. Does she have potential? Sure. But I say wait on it and don't hotshot something. Don't have somebody win when they're not ready yet. In the end, though, I think on paper that's a decent idea in a sense that somebody could benefit from ending Asuka's streak. Whoever beats Asuka is going to have some real credibility. But I would wait on it. I would not hotshot anything. And I think it's too soon with Sonya to really determine if she's the right person or not. I think you have to wait and see how she develops as a character. But certainly she's got potential. I will say that. But as JR used to say, you cannot make a living on potential. This one comes from Liam Cooper. Which past women wrestlers could you see appearing at the Women's Royal Rumble? Lita or Trish Stratus, perhaps? I think I did talk about this a few weeks ago, and my answer is pretty much the same. I think that there are some possibilities, considering there's only about 19 or 20 women actively on the main roster. I believe there will be some NXT women showing up, and then that does open the door for a few WWE legends from the past. Maybe Trish Stratus, maybe Lita. I think Trish might be more likely than Lita. We'll see what happens on Raw. I mean, I would not be surprised if somebody like Trish comes out and announces she's going to be in the Royal Rumble match just to add some more interest. And I'd like to see a few surprises too. If Trish makes an announcement, then I'd like to see Lita come out as a surprise. Have a few surprises. I'm fine with a few women announcing in advance that they're going to be in the Royal Rumble, but also maybe have a few surprises as well to keep people guessing. And, you know, part of the fun of the Royal Rumble is the surprises and not knowing who might show up in the Royal Rumble match. This one comes from Alfredo. Hey bro, I watched the match between Orton and Triple H at Unforgiven 2004, and at the end it looks like Triple H wasn't happy. Do you know what was behind that title change and the 1 minute title reign? And Alfredo is a first time asker, so thank you for the question. I believe what happened was Randy Orton was turned babyface after SummerSlam, and it did not really catch on with the fans. Orton was too much of a goody two-shoes babyface, didn't really have an edge, and I think Triple H might have been frustrated with the fact that Orton did not catch on right away as a babyface, and WWE got cold feet on the Randy Orton main event push. You know, Orton beat Chris Benoit to win the title, but then wasn't lighting the world on fire as champion, so WWE quickly gave up on Orton as champion, went back to Triple H as champion, and then Batista became the big star to beat Triple H decisively and become a major superstar. Orton turned heel, feuded with Undertaker, and just slowly worked his way into the main event spot, but as a heel instead of a babyface. This one comes from That's Gotta Be Kane. Do you think any character who gets over organically with the fans will be doomed for burial, or will WWE ever allow those characters to grab the brass ring and really run with their gimmick and see where it leads? Unfortunately, I don't really see that being the case where WWE will give guys full creative control like that to really run with the ball. WWE likes to have control as much as possible. It's not like the Attitude Era where Vince was pretty much forced into allowing guys like Steve Austin and Mankind and Triple H to go into business for themselves and develop their own characters and have that creative freedom. Now WWE controls everything, and WWE can dictate who gets pushed and who doesn't. So yeah, WWE doesn't like when guys like Zack Ryder go into business for themselves and get themselves over doing their own thing without the corporate machine behind it. WWE wants everything to be through the machine. The machine created it, just like NXT. That's one of the criticisms of NXT. Some people feel like it's an assembly line. WWE's just molding all these guys into what they see as a superstar rather than letting these guys become their own characters. Now in NXT, I feel like guys do have some more creative freedom, but once they get to the main roster, then they're truly in that corporate machine, in that bubble, and they gotta just toe the line and do what they're told, and they don't really have that creative freedom. Unfortunately, I don't see things changing anytime soon. WWE has no reason to change their formula. Their business is successful, they're making money, so why change? You know, it's not like the Attitude Era where WWE had to adapt, had to make new stars, their backs were against the wall, WCW was serious competition, and WWE had to do something different. They had to let these guys do their own thing and listen to the fans more and push the guys that were organically getting over rather than push the guys they wanted. Vince wanted Lex Luger to be a big star. Vince wanted Diesel to be a big star. And WCW was getting more and more popular. Vince had to go in a different direction. He was forced into it. He could no longer dictate who the stars were. The fans were the ones that were going to determine that and help WWE business turn around. Now, WWE is the only big game in the United States. They can get away with whatever they want, and that's just the way things are. That's the reality. I don't see things changing, unfortunately. That'll do it for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thanks again for watching. I really do appreciate your guys' feedback and support. Spread the word. Tell a friend about NoDQ Video. And enjoy that little background image, whatever that was. I will see you guys next time.